Today's conversation speaks to a question that I hear over and over again from women on the fertility path after 40, which is how do I trust my body after everything that I've already been through? Ashley is here with me. She is 41. She's been through 4 retrievals, 8 transfers, 4 pregnancies, 3 miscarriages, and 1 live birth. She is now trying to conceive naturally while carrying the fear that IVF might be her only option. So, if you've ever wondered whether you're doing enough, whether it's too late, or whether your body can still be trusted, this conversation is for you. Ashley, thank you so much for being here and for letting us into your story.
Thank you for having me.
Well, let's start at the heart of it. Can you share a little bit about your fertility journey so far? Whatever feels most important for you to say right now.
Okay. So my husband and I have been together since we 2014. And shortly after we met, we knew we wanted to start a family. We were married in less than 2 years. But we actually started some fertility testing before we were even married. Had my first retrieval before we even got married, because we found out pretty quickly that he had a varicocele. And they told us at that point that our best option was IVF. And us not really knowing anything about it, we just kind of went with what the doctor said. They didn't really give us any alternatives to a surgery or anything like that. So we just started moving forward. I was 5 years older than him. I was 30. He was 25. We just didn't think we'd have any issues. But when this came up pretty quickly, we were just like, well, this could be a longer process. So let's just start it now. So we had our first transfer in December of 15. It didn't work. We had a second one. It didn't work. I had 3 perfectly graded tested embryos that, we were thinking we're going to have 3 kids, naive as what we were. So they finally did like a thromophilia panel and realized I had factor V Leiden. So they wanted to start me on a blood thinner. And then I also started some acupuncture on my own. It's just like another form of let's make this happen. That pregnancy came to fruition, and we had my baby girl who's 8, 8.5 now. And I said it was from the acupuncture. I just believed that it just gave me the peace and that 2 to 3 times a week to just kind of chill and not be so worried about these appointments and the blood work and if it's going to work. And I always say the 2 week wait is the absolute worst part of IVF. Any surgery you can go through, the 2 week wait is just the worst mentally. Um, you know, we were happy with my little girl and thought that we were done. But in 2021, she was, 3, turning 4, and we just got the itch to kind of start again. Just didn't feel like we were finished. Well, that was mid-COVID and horrible. I had a retrieval. It was not a great retrieval, and we didn't test the embryos. We wanted to give all of them, just a full chance. We had come through a lot over the last 4 years and just were like, we want to give everything an option. We've done a lot more research. And COVID really just I feel like messed that whole thing up, and the testing and all of that stuff. We ended up miscarrying at 8.5 weeks. It was just a horrible experience. I'd much rather not even get pregnant personally than go through like testing every other day, waiting for the phone calls, see if my numbers increased. It went on for like 6 weeks. I was finally like, I need a break. I need a 2 week break. I'll come back and do an ultrasound. At this time, my husband wasn't allowed to go to any appointments with me. We had COVID tests before we went to any offices. It was just
Yeah.
horrible. And then to come to find out, we didn't have a heartbeat at that particular appointment, which we had before. But so we tried again. It didn't work. And then I just went right into like acupuncture again. I'm like, it was my safe space is what I kind of felt. So me and my husband started going. I'm like, listen, if this is going to happen, let's see if we can make this happen naturally. Let's just put our mind into it. We did acupuncture for a year and a lot of, teas and herbs and all of the stuff. We became very close with our acupuncturists. But it didn't work. And I was going to be turning 40. So I actually uh, quit my job of 18 years.
Mm.
Um, to really just focus on IVF again and just, I wanted a new path. I had been there a long time. I was kind of over it. Wanted something new. So I was like, I just want to take the time off. We have the means right now to make that happen for at least a year with my husband's new job. And I went into CNY fertility, which was supposed to be like a cheaper option, making what their motto is. It's like making affordable priceless or priceless affordable, something like that. I just had found them and they came more local to us within like 2 hours. So I did my first retrieval with them. It went pretty well. Uh, I got pregnant and then miscarried, and that happened two more times. So I don't know. We ended things last September with a DNC because I miscarried at, I think it was like 7 weeks at that point, and our medical bills were adding up because nothing is covered for us, so everything is out of pocket. And I just started talking to more, like looking up more natural things. And someone I spoke to last October, I mentioned my husband's varicocele, and she said, "Why hasn't there been more um, like put on this?" I know someone personally that had her husband had the varicocelectomy, and they have three natural children. And I was like, I don't know, but we've been doing this for 8 years or 7 years, and no one has brought it up. Like, I've never had any issues that they've seen, but we're having miscarriages, and they're, she was saying that it could be like a DNA thing. And so I'm like, let's go back to a urologist. Let's just start fresh again. And we did, and the semen analysis was still the same. And we couldn't even do a DNA fragmentation because there wasn't even enough there for them to even find out. But the urologist was like, your IVF is probably not working because you're not getting great quality sperm. And if you're not testing it, then, you could have had no embryos this whole time if you had gotten them tested. So we started doing some more research. My husband is petrified of surgeries and needles, but he has done everything for me up to this point. So he's like, okay, I'm going to do it. So last February, he had the varicocele surgery. And 4 months later, we did do another analysis. Not much had changed. He's cut out caffeine, not that we were big drinkers, but no alcohol, and really just started exercising and taking vitamins. So we're working on our next one, which is in October, which will be about 9 or 7 months. And they said it could take 6 to 9 to really like show if it's worked. So at this point, we're just praying that we see some difference. In October, we're going on our 10-year anniversary cruise in November. So I'm like, it would be great news to go there with just a little bit more positivity because, he's went through the surgery and it was pretty tough on him. It was like a week recovery and it's like a 2.5 hour surgery. So it was a little bit more invasive than I've ever had done, minus my C-section. But I'm just finding it hard to believe that we could do it naturally and just kind of surrender to that because we have come to the conclusion that we really don't want to do IVF, not only monetarily, but just like emotionally. It's a really tough thing to go through.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. You've been through a lot, you and your husband both, with the retrievals, the transfers, the pregnancies, the losses, and now trying to conceive naturally. So it's a lot for one person to hold, for the two of you to hold. It's a really honor that you're still here, still open. Obviously, otherwise you
Yeah.
would be here on this call with me and still listening to, what might be possible for you. So I really want to honor that. Um, so in your application, you said something that so many women think but really don't say out loud. It's, I'm constantly worrying. I'm constantly worrying whether I'm doing everything I can to get pregnant naturally. And fearing that IVF might be the only way. And that's a very vulnerable and exhausting place to be because you're constantly probably second guessing yourself all the time. And so, can you share a bit more about what that looks like for you day to day?
Yeah, so I mean, I find myself always looking up a vitamin or trying to meditate and trying to get out of my own head and listening to some of your stories and just coming to a place where I can calm myself a little bit and not think about things and not stress, because I know that could cause way more harm than probably taking any vitamins to do good. And then I also, I'm always being told at my husband's urologist that I'm old and I should probably just do IVF, because every month that goes by is just a ticking time
Wait, you're
bomb for me.
41, right?
Yeah.
You're not old. Okay.
Oh,
Let me
I
just
I told
clear
him
that.
I'm not your patient. He's your patient. Fix him. Don't worry about
Okay.
me.
Let me clear that right there. I want to, yeah,
Yeah.
you're not old.
He has
41.
said that to me on two occasions
Yeah.
now. You've
I'm
just
like,
wasted 3 months, he said, that you could have been doing IVF. And I'm like, don't worry about what I'm doing. But
yeah.
the stuff stays in your head, it's
And
there. And
yeah. And I actually, I want to just jump in really quick and then go back to your
yeah,
story. And this is not necessarily specifically for you, but for people who are listening. When you hear that from professionals, I would really kind of invite you and encourage you to push back, really, because it's not right for them. It breaks my heart, honestly, when I hear this from women like you saying that, hearing this from your doctors are there to support you. That's why you're there,
right,
and it's like whether or not they're personal and it's an opinion. It's because none of this is etched in stone. There are women who
yeah,
get pregnant in their 50s. Okay.
right.
And so the fact that someone, especially at 41, I mean, God, 41's like, to me is a baby. Like, I'm like, 41's easy, so I really encourage women to push back and just challenge their doctors or really, and it could be friends or family as well. It's like, hey, you know what? This is my path. And whatever your personal opinion is, thank you for that. But you only need to say it once in a kind way, just to make sure that you've kind of, they have done their part in it. But I don't need to hear that. I'm here for a service. I'm here. In your case, it's to work with your husband, but often
Right,
they hear it from their own fertility doctors. It's like, I'm here for a service. I just want to know what you can do for me. And
right,
I already understand the statistics. I know because most women know kind of the
right,
basics, right? They don't need it hammered in like into the core of the earth. So I would just kind of recommend women just push back a little bit as like set a boundary as to how the doctors and their staff should talk with you. Because I think
right,
that's really important because I hear this way too much and it bothers me so much because you're paying for this service.
right.
They should be helping you. And the fact that they're just, like cutting you off at the knees at every chance, it's just like, oh. So that was
Yeah,
my
because
little
it makes me
diatribe.
feel
Yeah.
a little crazy, because then I say it to my
So
husband, we
belittling.
kind of, right, we leave there and he's like, well, my husband is listening to a medical professional.
Yeah.
He's like, well, he has a point, maybe we should just start. And I'm like, whoa, we're going completely off course here. You just had this surgery and now you're saying we should just give up? Like, we got to be in this together. I don't want to be fighting like I'm the crazy one at 41
Yeah.
trying to make this impossible thing possible. And he's been so supportive. I have nothing bad to say about my husband, because he's just listening to a medical professional who
Yeah.
just had
Absolutely. 100%.
surgery
Yeah.
on him. And I don't want to be that, like,
Yeah.
anything is possible to him and be 50 and still like, fingers crossed, we got
Yeah.
another month, like,
Yeah.
I want him to feel as comfortable as I feel about it and
Mhm.
know that it's going to happen. So I try not to harp on it a lot, because he still, does the no caffeine and the no alcohol and eats healthy and does all the things that I know he's doing for me, ultimately for us. I mean, he wants it as well, but not the expense of, us and our future either.
Yeah.
So he's just like, I know it's not an easy thing on you. I'm always going to support. It's obviously more, it's something more that's going to be hard on you going through a pregnancy and birth. So I would never say either way. This has got to be something that you want to do, and I'll support whatever you want. And it's made our bond so much closer,
Yeah.
which I'm so thankful for, because I know there's a lot of people that it really can tear them apart. And we've prided ourselves on never bringing this up in any type of argument, or, throwing it in each other's face, or looking at a bill and going, we wouldn't have done this. It's just, we're never negative about it. It just, this is our journey, and this is what's going to, be for us.
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful. I'm glad that it has, um, if anything, maybe brought you closer in terms of just really learning to communicate with each other, learning to be very respectful of each other's desires and where they're at. And I really encourage that with people, because if the fertility journey is going to fracture the relationship, it's honestly, is it really worth it? Because
Right.
the relationship is right in front of your face. And if
Hmm.
you're wanting just to basically destroy what's already there and for a promise of a future that hasn't happened yet, I think the priorities are a bit skewed. So I do recommend that people look at this journey as difficult and as stressful as it is, and I'm not minimizing that. I do understand that. To use it as a way to become even closer,
Absolutely.
because that really is part of the journey as well, is can you make this challenge something that draws the two of you together rather than split you apart? Because if if you can't, then that says a lot about
Yeah.
the relationship and
Right.
whether
And
or
it's not
not.
about blame.
No,
And
it's
that's what
not.
I think a lot of people that I've talked to, because so many people now that I know are going through IVF and they know I've been through it. Not that I'm completely public about my journey, but if someone talks to
Well,
me
you are
about it,
now.
I'll, right. I'm not on social media. And there's a lot of people that are putting like every needle that they put in for IVF, they're posting it. And I just have never been that person. I've found support through Facebook groups and things like that. And my family has been amazing as well. But anybody that comes to me and mentions it, I always tell them I'm an ear. I've been through it. I can help you. And they'll tell me the way that things are going. And I'm like, you cannot place blame. If it is your husband, this is just your journey. You need to just go into it with this is how we're supposed to have a child. If it's that you have to go through IVF, because as soon as you start putting anything negative on it, it's going to show in all parts of this journey for you, and you don't want that. And they're crying. And I
Yeah,
said, because if the role was reversed and you were being told that you couldn't have a child, you would never want that from your partner, and you have to put yourself in that position. So
yeah,
it's just been interesting the way life has taken with all of my journeys through IVF and meeting people, because it's not really talked about,
yeah. It's a team
unless you're
effort.
looking for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's a team effort. So you and your husband, your partner, your team. You have to stay
Yeah,
really
absolutely.
strong as a team and move as one. Because it's,
Yes, absolutely.
because I talk about having alignment with the mind and body within yourself, but then you have to have the alignment with your partner because obviously he's a critical part of
Yeah,
the equation.
it's kind of important.
Kind of important. So yeah, I want to speak to the question that you ask, am I doing enough to get pregnant naturally? Because this is a really charged question for women on the path, especially after you've done so much, right? With the transfers, the IVFs, and the losses, and the surgeries on your husband's part. So it's really easy to feel like if it's not happening yet, then you must be missing something. And
Yeah,
so, what I want to offer is it's a truth that often gets drowned out by the noise. And it's that your body is wise. It's much wiser, no offense, much wiser than your mind, right? Because
yeah,
because your mind is only knows what it's been exposed to, right? So it's wiser than the research, the statistics, the protocols, the supplement stack. Your body knows how to do this long before any of us were reading or doing studies or tracking LH surges. Your womb, your uterus, it's a beautiful space. It literally is a portal. From one instant, there's nothing, in another, there's a baby. Like that's crazy, amazing,
yeah,
miraculous, right? So your
absolutely.
womb carries the memory of every woman who came before you. Thousands of years, ancient, intelligent. She knows, she has that wisdom. So when that voice comes in of maybe I'm not doing enough or should I do something more, I would invite you to ask, is this really about doing more? Or is this about letting go of something that's in the way? Because often it's not more action that's needed, it's the release of the fear, of the urgency, of the belief that your worth is tied to how perfectly you manage this process, right? It's usually a letting go of the limiting beliefs, of the negative narratives, It's not the action, it's how are you being? How are you living your life? And that's what I want people to focus on, not so much the external actions. The external actions should come from as a natural result of your internal alignment. So if you were internally aligned and you're saying that IVF is the process to go, then awesome, then that is the path. But if you're internally aligned and it's saying, no, let's just continue trying naturally for however long, then that's your path. But it can only come when you get rid of that noise, the noise of the external pressure of time, which again, the pressure of time, it's a construct of the ego, right? And it's very heavily conditioned by society. It's very heavily conditioned because of comparison. Because in the moment of the right now, of the present moment, there's no urgency. You talking with me, there's no urgency of time, of needing to get this done now. If you can
Right.
bring yourself back to that present moment of, I'm really connected with my vision of what it is that what is necessary for my family or what would be great for my family, and let that guide me, then there isn't ever this feeling of being behind, of being broken. So the question becomes, what am I being asked to release? And maybe it's the need to get it right. Maybe it's the belief that if you let go for even 1 second, it'll just fall apart, right? Maybe it's the fear that your body can't be trusted, when in truth, she's the only one who can be trusted. She's the
Yeah.
one who knows. She's the one who's going to do the job. It's not going to be your physical mind of like what supplement to take and what procedure to do. It's going to be your because you can do all that and you've done all of that and women do all the time. But at the end of the day, it's going to be her decision whether that embryo takes or not. And so it's not so much about trying harder. It's actually about feeling safer. And so that safety, it doesn't come from that external strategy of the next strategy, because nothing external can give you lasting safety. It's just a temporary fix until it doesn't work. And then you're right back in the loop wondering, what else can I do? And that's what happened with the IVFs, right? Because
Yeah.
and I'm not, I'm not judging or anything like that. It's like you
Yeah.
go to the treatments, the strategies for the answer. And if it doesn't work, I'm like, oh shit, well, now what, right? Then you're back
Right.
into that. So safety isn't found in doing more. It's found in honoring that your body already holds the wisdom and the timing that's right for you. And then making room for that. So my question to you, Ashley, is what are you being asked to release?
That I need to do IVF
Hmm,
to make this happen.
okay.
That's like my only option because I feel that we can do this naturally. But my mind is just like, you've done IVF. Maybe you should just give it another try. And it like kind of fights with each other to like, okay, let's just go to one more appointment, see if this is what's going to make it like click in my brain almost that, okay, we can do this naturally. We got a good analysis. So, like, okay, it's go time because up to this point we haven't. And then, okay, but if we don't have a good analysis, then we're going to have to do IVF. If we don't have enough, then that's really going to be our only option if we're going to do this again.
Yeah.
I would love to just let go that that's even an option for us
Hmm.
because it feels almost more of a safety net than it does what's going to get me my end result.
Yeah.
Because my dream has always been to get, that positive pregnancy test without any interventions.
Okay. So is that something that you're ready to release?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So when you hear all of this, your own story and this reflection back to you, what gives you hope right now? What helps keep you going?
Just that I just feel like it's meant to be for us to have a second child and that, my daughter should have a sibling. I've just never wanted an only child, only because I wanted her to have, somebody to be with when we're not here, as morbid as that sounds.
Yeah.
But I've seen it, with my mom, and I have a cousin, they're only children, and a lot of burden has been put on them. And it's just thankfully for me and my sisters, we've always been there to support my mom. But
Mhm.
I just always wanted a sibling. I wanted that person to be with my daughter and to just complete our family. Me and my husband always wanted multiple kids, and we'd be happy with one, is what we would say. And now that we had one, we've just always had this yearning to have another one. So it's like, I just want to, check it off the list. Like, we've completed this. This is the way it was supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Well, stay connected with that. You've gone through so much in this journey. You're continuing to stay open to what's possible, staying connected to your dream, even though you haven't gotten the outcome that you desired yet. And that's really important. That's a very important part of the process. So, thank you so much for sharing your voice today.
No
And
problem.
to anyone listening, if you're feeling the same things that Ashley described, I just want you to hear this. You're not behind, you're not broken. You don't need to prove yourself to be worthy of a baby. And sometimes the next step isn't about trying harder, it's just about softening enough to receive, right? To be really more into the flow of your own body's natural rhythm. So, if you'd like to continue receiving guidance, practices, and emotional support like this, I invite you to explore the Heart Portal Foundation Circle, which guides women over 40 on the fertility and awakening journey. And the link is in the description. At this time, registration is closed, but if you join the waitlist, you'll be notified as soon as it's open. And always remember that your timing is sacred. You're not behind, you're exactly where you're meant to be. And if you'd like to be considered to have your own question explored in one of these conversations, there's also a link to a short application form. I'd love to hear from you. Until then, expect magic and miracles.